Good afternoon and welcome to the Weekend Wellness Hour show. Very excited to have a new guest on this week and one whose story will touch the hearts of all of you. So Arjan Erkel met at a speakers coalition not too long ago where he was sharing some information about his life and his history of being held hostage for 20 months of his life. And so I wanted to bring him on today to talk about human resilience, to share his story and to touch the hearts of all of you. So you guys learn a little bit more about what our potential is as humans. So thank you so much, Arjan, for joining us today.
Yes, Amy, thanks for having me on your show. So good to see you again.
Yeah, I appreciate you coming on. And why don't you share a little bit about your background? Where did you grow up and how you got into Doctors Without Borders, an amazing program that's held around the world?
Yes, I'm from the Netherlands, in the western part of Europe, in Rotterdam. It's the second biggest city of the Netherlands. It's not so big. And I was raised with four siblings. We had a very nice and warm family. And yeah, I always liked geography, history, traveling. So I choose cultural anthropology as my study. And then during my study, doing my final thesis, I was introduced with Doctors Without Borders. And I started working in Uganda. And during that work, I was doing a research on refugees and what they thought of the work of Doctors Without Borders and how they made a big new society out of hundreds of thousands of refugees coming from different places. I thought, this is the place to be. That's where I want to work and I want to make a career. And after my study, I came back to Doctors Without Borders and worked in Tajikistan and Uzbekistan, countries I never heard of because they were just new republics after the Soviet Union fell apart. I worked in Sierra Leone, and then they asked me to become a head of mission or country manager in Russia, which was, I was only 32, the biggest country of the world, one of the most severe humanitarian crises in Chechnya, where there was a war between the Muslim rebels, like sort of Taliban, and the Russian government, and we helped the refugees over there, and there was a threat of being kidnapped. And of course, I thought, I'm not the one who's going to be kidnapped. But then, after some time, I was unlucky. But that I'll share later with you.
Yeah. So when you were doing these different missions, did you sense the danger that was going on, or were you just very isolated and you had protection? What did that look like?
No, we always knew about the dangers because you always work in either post-war countries or still little leftovers of civil wars are going on. And so you have to make contact with rebel leaders. You have to make contact with the government part because we are a neutral organization. So we definitely knew about the dangers. Sometimes we were not attacked, but you hear the gunshots around our area. So we were well trained and of course also prepared. But sometimes you think because you're an independent, neutral organization that maybe even the rebels will not attack you.
Right. And then how many people were in your group in Dagestan?
So in Dagestan we had 6 expatriates and 65 local people working with us. And at one night I had a translator, and we got a warning that we were going to be kidnapped. So I wanted to find out with the secret services, with the politicians, with the military, like what's the status? Should we evacuate? I evacuated most of the team. I stayed behind with 2 other guys, and so I wanted my translator to come and work with me the day after. And then I stepped in the car together with a driver, and we drove off from her place. I just had a nice dinner, and then the car was blocked. And I looked at the driver and thought, what's going on? And then suddenly 3 guys stepped out of the car. They walked towards our car with guns in their hands. I saw them coming closer and closer, and I thought, what should I do? And then I stepped out of the car. I surrendered. That's at least what I thought. I walked towards them. And then a 4th guy, which I didn't see, he knocked me down. And then for, I think, 2 minutes, they really beat me up completely. I started to bleed. I fell on the ground. My finger broke. I can't stretch this finger anymore. And I really thought they were going to kill me. I was So yeah, I was really wondering, like, if you kidnap me, just take me away, but don't beat me up, don't kill me. And then luckily
Right.
they stopped and dragged me to their car, and I had to sit on the back seat. Yeah, I pushed my head, yeah, in between my knees, and they put a gun on my head here and a gun on my chest. And then we drove off to maybe the end of my life. Yeah, that's how it all started.
You didn't know.
Bleeding. Yeah, I was so much fear around me. I was breathing heavily. I wanted to cry because my life was almost over. But then I realized it's such a macho culture, and if I start crying, they will see me as a sissy, or even worse, and I have to stand up. And then I wanted to say something to save my life, of course, but I was looking for the right words, and then I think my intuition helped me, and so the suggestion which came into my mind was just say that you want to live. So I told them in Russian, "Жить хочу." It means I want to live, and they said, "Okay, if you behave, we will also behave." And I still remember. I don't know. Have you seen the movie Pulp Fiction with John Travolta, where he by accident shoots the guy in the back of the car, and all the brains splash against the So that's how scary I was. Like I knew the scene, and with this gun on my temple and the bad roads. So every time I felt like, oh my God, I hope they've seen the movie and that they don't shoot by accident. And then luckily one of the guys, he put a little old towel on my head. And I thought, wow, he's showing his humanity and he's trying to help me already. But then he said, no, otherwise the car will be dirty from your blood. So,
oh my gosh.
Wow. So they were really tough. And
wow.
I was just rethinking what were the security regulations? What should I do? Don't cry, don't beg, don't talk about politics, just listen to them, don't be a hero. So all those regulations and protocols, even like don't panic. And when I read it, because every week we had to read it, I thought, how can you be sure not to panic? And what's kind of a strange regulation is that, but it even helped me in the car, like don't panic, don't panic. And I tried to have this helicopter view and trying to figure out what was best to do. But it was scary.
It sounds like it. And was your translator kidnapped with you as well?
No,
or just
me. Yeah, only me. But I speak a little bit of Russian, like and I could make a little conversation, which was better, of course. But I've never felt so scared before. Of course, I had to think about my parents. What would happen to them if they hear the message that I would be kidnapped? Would they get a heart attack? Would they get psycho? I wondered about my own strengths. Am I strong enough to survive maybe humiliation or torturing? Am I mentally strong enough, physically strong enough? There was no one there to help me. So the loyalty of my organization, I started wondering about. I even started praying. I'm raised a bit as a Christian, but not very heavily. But I thought, maybe even God can help me. But I also, when little stars fall, you can make a wish. So when I saw a meteor, I was like, I hope I can go home alive. So I needed all the support from the nature, from the gods, from myself. So that was really scary. And also, in the beginning, I didn't trust them. Of course, they didn't trust me. I wanted to know, for how long are you going to kidnap me? What's the amount you want to ask? The ransom, they said 12 million. I said, what, 12 million rubles? 12 million dollars. Wow, that's way too much, I told them. Then they asked me, what's the right amount? So
how do you price your life?
So, and I thought, if I say 10,000, they will kill me. But if I say 12 is okay, it will take a long time. So, and I know you're not supposed to talk about the ransom when you're kidnapped. But I was so worried. I said, no, 1 million should be okay. And then they lowered till 5 already. So
Wow. So then how long was the drive to where you were kept and where you moved around?
So in the beginning, it was just, I think, 1 hour. And there we walked into I think in the bush, a little bit like forest. And then they said, here we stop. We don't have a house yet. We don't have anything to eat. We don't have a toilet. And we stayed there for a week. They bought a little tent, and every now and then I think they went to the city to buy food and a little bit of water. But yeah, I was becoming more and more sweaty, stinky. I had to go to the toilet with two people standing behind me. I couldn't brush my teeth. And then after a week, they handed me over to a new group, and those people, yeah, all had the masks and uniforms, Kalashnikov. So those were the hardcore rebels, and they took me higher into the mountains. Really, we drove for 3 hours. We walked for an hour, and then they had a hideout under the ground. So under the ground, high up in the mountain, they told me, take off your shoes. This is our house. And they brought me into a kitchen, but really a kitchen with linoleum, like this plastics on the floor. There was a sink, even a stove. And I still remember, because I saw 4 guys with Kalashnikovs pointing at me, and I wanted to brush my teeth. But they said, take a shower, because you're smelly. So I took a shower, but still I didn't have a toothbrush. But I was afraid to ask for one, because I thought maybe they said, hey, they beat me up. They said, hey, you don't have any teeth anymore, so you don't use. Yeah, but then I also thought, if I'm here for 2, maybe 3, 4 months, they will also fall out. So I asked them, please, can I have some toothpaste? And they said, which brand? So that was really the first conversation was about toothpaste. And they bought at the end, in one day, they bought me, I always use Aquafresh. So that they bought Aquafresh for me, and they even were curious about the taste. And they said, yeah, you're from the West, you know what's good for you. You have very white teeth compared to us. And then they started using it as well. And now all the Chechen rebels are using Aquafresh because of me. So that's really the start of the new group.
Wow. And did this new group treat you humanely in the terms of physically, did they not beat you up or touch you?
No, they were, so they told me if I behave, they will behave. They said, we're all radical Muslims. So according to our belief, we're not supposed to torture you or humiliate you. It's difficult already for you, but only if you make the wrong movement, or you try to flee, or you're unfriendly, or try to beat us up, then we'll use force. They said we share the food. You can brush your teeth twice a day, and once a week I could take a bucket of water, and then I could take a shower. And I started to give them nicknames instead of to have to be very polite. We talked about Pulp Fiction with the leader, because he said, how was your kidnapping? What happened? I said, yeah, it looked like Pulp Fiction. He said, that's my favorite movie. So from the beginning, there was already a feeling like, okay, if they behave like they do for this first couple of hours, then I will manage. But of course, there's always fear, like I didn't have a room myself. And then they said, yeah, we're going to dig a hole for you. And I saw those guys digging a hole. And of course, when you're kidnapped and you see people digging holes, I was like, where my heart was really in my chest, like, wow, what's going on? This is going to be my grave. They just had a nice introduction about not using force, and now they're digging holes already. So it's this roller coaster of disbelief and despair, building up trust. So that made it difficult for 20 months, because they didn't trust me, of course, completely. I didn't trust them. So many things could happen. The end of the negotiation, because Doctors Without Borders might not want to pay. Maybe the Russian army would come nearby and there will be a shootout. So there were always moments of fear and moments of frustration, of course, anger, injustice. So if your freedom is taken away, which it was taken away by me, it's just unfair, and that also hurts, of course. And sometimes I try to be positive, but of course you can't be positive all the time. So that were the difficult moments.
Right. How did you spend your days? Did you even know what day it was?
Yeah, I tried to count into the future, because they said it will take 2 months only, and then I believed it would take 2 months. So I thought 60 days that I can manage. But it was just boredom. My room, it was made at only 5 feet by 6 feet, and then 6 feet high, and I'm 6'2", so I couldn't even stand up straight.
Oh my gosh.
There were all kind of insects in the room, mice, even snails, and yeah, there was no electricity, so I had one candle. So it was always this, yeah, how you call this in between the dark and the light, the twilight zone. Yeah. So it felt like a grave actually, which they only had to close the door and walk away, and I would die. So it took me. Yeah, you asked what did you do, but the first week I cried a lot because I didn't want to cry when they were with me, but when I was alone, I felt free enough to show vulnerability to myself. But that's not showing vulnerability.
Right.
But then after a week, I told myself, yeah, it doesn't help. I can be a victim, but don't behave like a victim. Try to be an anthropologist again. Try to be curious. Try to find out why they want to be radicalistic Muslim fighters. Try to see how you can influence those people, but also be interested in them, and then slowly, very slow, my situation improved, because they saw me more as more as someone to respect instead of someone who's quiet, who doesn't talk, who's having difficulties. And also so basically after 2 months I got a book, so the day would be reading the same book all over again. I read many books 15 times, the same book. I did all kind of push-ups, sit-ups. The guys even said, yeah, you should be lucky that you're kidnapped. I said, why? Yeah, because you look much more athletic now than at the moment you enter. I was thinking a lot about family, about friends, about my girlfriend, planning, making plans, visualization about the past, the good things from the past that could cheer me up, good things from the future that would cheer me up. But of course, sometimes I had nightmares. Days like birthdays or Christmas were very difficult. But in general, sleeping, walking back and forth, like a grizzly bear going back and forth. A little bit of sport.
Did they give you anything to sleep on?
Yeah. In the beginning, a very small mattress, but after 2 months, when I thought, it's about time to go home, they came and brought me a thicker one, which was, from their side it was very nice, but for me it meant I have to stay longer. So then you can see that there's always two sides at the story, and they thought they did something good to me, but I prefer to go home, of course, or to get a new book. But the difficulty was to get the balance in my own emotional status or being, so not to be influenced too negative by the negative part of it, but also to prevent myself from being too optimistic, because sometimes they had news like there's negotiations going on, maybe there were pictures made with me holding a newspaper, and then I thought my boss is working on my freedom, I can go home, I can see my family again. But then of course the pain when there were only rumors, or when the negotiations failed, then I can still feel it. When I think about it, it hurts so much. If you think you save the last energy for the last couple of days because I might go home, and then it didn't happen. Then I could be so sad for maybe 2-3 days in a row. If they would bring nice food and say, hey, how are you doing? I had to hide my face because the tears would swell up in my eyes. But also, thinking about not meeting my parents anymore. I just wanted to sit on the lap of my mother. Like, if you have a good family life, you want to be home, you want to be with your mother. Thinking about my girlfriend, who became more and more beautiful. She became the biggest angel in my life. And but also good memories about music, about movies, just all the bad things that happened to me or came into my mind, I had to tackle with good positive thinking. And of course I cried a lot, like I said, and I felt miserable because I couldn't block all those feelings, but at least I tried to make these moments very short. And then it definitely helps to visualize, to think positive, to think about possibilities also. What can I change in my situation? I can maybe win the hearts of 13 people. Maybe I can be interested for them. Maybe I can cook for them. Maybe we can watch TV together. So there were, in Dutch, you can say even within a prison, there are still lots of possibilities to change or to make your life better. And we always look at the bright side of life, or at the other side of the hill. The life is more beautiful, but yeah, you also can make your life beautiful in the microcosmos where you live, of course.
Absolutely. Were they ever interested in you and wanted to know your history and why you were actually in the area and the work that you were doing?
Yeah, no, they were, because in the beginning, they thought I was Jewish, and they thought I was like a special agent. And of course, radical Muslims, they don't like Jewish people. So and I'm not Jewish. So I had to tell them that I'm not, because otherwise they might make the wrong conclusions. And no, they never really believed it, but at least it was not a big issue. The same with the special agent. And I tried to explain that, no, I'm not a special agent. I'm an aid worker, a humanitarian. Then we help everyone. But they just couldn't understand the principle that you go somewhere without getting anything back. They thought, yeah, at least you're looking for money, or looking for gas or oil, or maybe to change our religion. And it took me more than a year to convince them that it's really something interesting. And we had a conversation about one of the guys, Professor. He was the smartest one, so I called him Professor. I always gave him nice nicknames, like the biggest, strong one I called the Tank, like the smartest one, Professor. The best cook, I called him the Cook. The boss, I called him General. And so Professor came to me and he said, yeah, I've been thinking about what you're telling me, and actually Mujahideen, so like this Islamic fighters, and humanitarian aid workers, they're a bit the same. Why do you think we're the same? Yeah, because you go out with your mindset of humanitarian work, you go into war zones, you try to help people, you try to make their life better. And that's actually what Mujahideen are also doing. We also risk our life and change the world for the better. And of course, I didn't agree completely, but at least it was nice that he tried to understand my role, and instead of thinking, hey, you're a Jewish special agent who wants to dismantle Russia or dismantle our Muslim culture, he tried to level. So that was nice.
Right. And so at any point, did they ever let you out of that cell to interact with them? They did do that. Okay. Yeah.
In the beginning, only to brush my teeth, and once a week to take a shower, and also to go to the toilet.
Okay.
But I had a bottle to pee, and for the other thing, they took me outside, and then just for 5 minutes, you're not going to take your time. And then after 6 weeks, they came in the middle of the night, and they never disturbed me at night. And this time they were really nervous, and they said, yeah, we're going to take you out. I said, why? Because I thought they were going to kill me, because maybe the negotiations fit. Yeah, because you behaved, and we will reward you, that from now on you can take a 30 minutes break every night. When it's dark, you can see the surrounding. And I was like scared. I don't want to go out. I said, I have fresh air enough. But they said, if we want to kill you, we would have killed you already. So just join us. And I joined them. And then from that moment, every day when it was dry, they took me out for 30 minutes. So they slowly gave me some privileges. Like I said, the book, not taking me out every day. But also, certain moment, one of the guys, when he was cooking, he said, why don't you sit with me in the kitchen? And then I could have a cup of tea. He would cook. And then I would say, hey, let me cook as well. He said, no, because you will poison us. And because, they didn't trust me, or you will cut us. But then after another 2-3 months, he allowed me to cook, to touch a small knife. But then 2-3 months later, I could cut the meat with a bigger knife. So this trust, it really came slow, but at the end, of course, there's no full trust, but we managed to become not a team, but to respect each other for who we were. I could share my vision about my way of living, and they also changed a bit, because in the beginning they said we don't like non-Muslim people, they can never cook for us, we don't trust them. So the end, they even invited me every now and then, like once a week, to watch TV with them. Yeah, so they also tried to make something out of it. So it was, of course, it was difficult. Now it sounds like it's not difficult, but
having your freedoms taken away, very difficult. And
yeah,
yeah, that's not something I wish on anyone.
No. But yeah, it's always hard to describe the pain, because the pain is the pain of missing everyone, the pain of not believing in a good ending, the pain of celebrating Christmas on your own with not a Christmas meal around, with tears on your cheeks and missing everything, and also giving up trust in my organization. I thought my organization will take me out, but then yeah, sometimes I thought maybe I should kidnap my director when I'm free, and he will feel the same pain. That's also not nice if you start to fill in bad things about other people, of course. But yeah,
how was your health too along the way? Did you stay healthy?
Yeah, most of the time I stayed healthy. For 2 days I had really problems with my stomach, so I had to go to the toilet lots of times. But in general, it was fine. But of course, when I came home, I did a complete medical check just to figure out, because when there's nothing to do, when there's no noise, you start hearing your own body, and of course you feel every now and then. You think, was this little, how you call it, place there already, or is it some tumor? Or you start wondering about things in your own body, like, hey, I never heard this sound, hey, I never felt this place, or hey, it looks different. But no headaches, nothing, no, lucky.
Wow.
That was also one of my worries. What would they do if I had appendix, for example? Or
yeah, absolutely. What type of food did they feed you? What were the meals like?
Yeah, in general, so I was eating the same food as they were eating, and like spaghetti, not like bolognese, but spaghetti with meat, lots of cabbage soup, those brown beans or black bean soup, lots of bread. But in general, it wasn't bad. But of course, it's not something you would cook yourself. And sometimes you go on holiday and you miss your own food from around the corner. And for 607 days, for 607 days, I thought I'm going to cook much more in my life, and I'm going to buy all kind of cooking books, and I will buy this nicest new microwave oven with a grill and everything, which I did when I came back. And people gave me books because they knew that I missed all kind of nice food. But I'm already released for some time now, and I almost never cook. So I made so much imaginations about how my life would change, and lots of things changed, but the cooking is still the same. I'm not a good cook yet. But at least I bought the equipment and the book. So
that's step one.
Yeah, step one, definitely.
So were you aware that a recovery or rescue was coming, or was this completely out of the blue when you?
No, it was completely out of the blue.
Okay.
So I was held hostage for 20 months, and the last 8 months were a bit, I call it insecure, because they started to move me around from one place to the other place. And the first time they started moving me around was really scary, because they promised me to stay in this place till the end, and they promised to stay with me till the end. And now they said, we have to hand you over to a new group. So we drove around the mountains, and I had to sit in the trunk.
Okay.
I was really worried, like, are we going somewhere? Are they going to kill me? How will the new group be? But every time it was more or less okay. But I could take my toothbrush, I could take a bottle to pee, I could take my clothing. But now, the last time they said, you're not allowed to take anything. I said, why not? Yeah, because you go into a real new group, they have everything. I was really like, okay, that doesn't sound good, because if I'm not allowed to take anything, it might, might be the end. They put me in the trunk. We said farewell. Even the guy said, if I meet you again in my life, you will get a bit of the ransom, because you behaved really like a good guy, and I feel pity for you. Then we drove off, and they opened the trunk, the other group, and I saw two faces which you really don't want to see. They looked even worse than the worst mafiosi in the worst Italian mafia movie. And he said, "Welcome home." I was like, "What do you mean?" Yeah, we released you. I said, but how? Yeah, there was a military action, he said. I said, but I didn't see any action. No, but it's Russia, we make up stories. But I was really scared because I saw their faces for 20 months. I didn't see any face, and I thought they're going to kill me. They're just this bunch of wild guys trying to make fun of me. But then another Russian guy stepped in with a mobile phone, and then I heard one of the Dutch diplomats from the embassy, and he said, "Arjan, you're really released. We're going to send a plane to pick you up, to fly you to Moscow." So then I started to be a bit more happy already. Then I was, for the first time in 20 months, I took a shower. They made a pie. It was Easter time. It was a really nice cultural moment, like God or Jesus, he had his resurrection. And for me, it also felt like I got a second chance in my life. I got a new life again. Then we flew to Moscow, and the big Volvo from the embassy with the big Dutch flags came to the airplane, and then the Dutch ambassador stepped out, and I hugged him, and he was standing there like this diplomat. He didn't move his arms, he didn't say much, but then he also gave me a hug, and he said, "Yeah, for 20 months I really did all my best to get you out." So that was really nice. Then I heard my parents or my father would fly to Moscow to pick me up, and there was so much media coverage. I saw myself on CNN. We had a press conference. But then I asked the ambassador, "Can I have a little room on my own, and that no one disturbs us when my father walks in?" And I was looking at the door and waiting, and I heard footsteps coming in. And then I saw my father entering the door. And of course, we embraced each other. We cried from happiness. We looked at each other in the face, and we knew, we're still okay. Yeah. And then they sent another plane from the government, and we were flying back home to Rotterdam. And then there was even better moment. My mother was waiting on the tarmac down the stairs of the plane with such a wonderful smile, really the best ever smile on someone's face, and her arms were almost like 10 feet long. But she hugged me like, "Wow, and my lost son is back." And so everyone was happy again. The Ministry of Foreign Affairs were there. Lots of press. The day after, we had a big party with family, friends, thousands of just people from the Netherlands who came to the village of my parents. And I don't know how you call this in English, where all the people are making music with drums and on the street, like fanfare we call it. I don't know how you call it.
Fanfare.
Yeah, fanfare. It was really cool. And children made tens of thousands of paintings. They sent it to my family. There were post bags full of postcards for wishing me best and showing, wow, because in the Netherlands, I think 95% of the people know who I am. Mm-hmm. And when I was walking on the street, they were always like, "Hey, Arjan, we are so happy that you're back." Like in a bar or in a restaurant, I would get free beer, free meals. So everyone cared about me, and sometimes it was a bit of a pressure on me because I had difficulties. Should I thank everyone for what they've done to me? So then I went to a life coach, and he said, "No, you don't have to thank people because they did it with unconditional love. So they don't need any gratitude." And that helped me a lot because it took away the pressure. And and of course, it was nice to be back, of course, to be free, and my life started again. And I didn't tell the whole story, of course, because I don't have the time, but I had so much powers that I discovered within myself, like being patient, being disciplined, to focus on staying alive, but also to make contact, perseverance, but also, gratitude, thinking in positive, in possibilities. So I know that I can stand up for myself, and that also made life much easier than before, because I know the power from within. I know I can stand up for myself. I know I can deal with difficult situations. So it makes me much more free in my mind. And that's what I want to tell other people as well. If you are free in your mind, you can reach so much more than if you always withhold yourself from making a change or from making an extra step. And if you find the power to start up things because you're free in your mind, you're free to act, you innovate, you're creative, you're much nicer to other people, you're much nicer for yourself. And of course, I'm not always on the top of my capabilities, but I know at least when it's needed, I can find them. And that's what I want other people to learn as well.
So when you came back, did you have to take some time to decompress and go through counseling? I know you mentioned a life coach, but did you have to, go through some almost mental health recovery before you could restart your life again?
Yeah, I choose anyway to go there because I thought it's been such a difficult 20 months. And of course, a psychologist can help me, and let him decide if it's needed or not. Because I didn't want to run the risk to get a post-traumatic stress syndrome. And I just wanted to be tested, and medically inside, but also mentally, of course. So in the beginning, I went there, I think 3 times a week, just to talk an hour about, not even talking about the kidnapping, but just about how to start a new life. What shall I do? Shall I stay with this work, or shall I change my job? How do I deal with this new, sort of status of being someone well-known, which was also difficult. Lots of women, strangely, also came to look for attention. And he said, you have your own girlfriend, but maybe it's difficult for you to choose. But of course, he waited for me. So that was so nice. But to get structure again, of course, he measured, do you have nightmares? Do you have, I don't know, I had these memories every day for a year. I didn't have any first memory in my life than just thinking about kidnapping. So that also bothered me because I had 34 years, and why should I only think about the kidnapping? And he said, it's been such a hard time. Sometimes you have this uncle on a birthday party, and he always tells the same story about his journey to China, for example. And he says, your holiday was much worse and much longer than any holiday. So it's normally that your brain always takes the last moments and the worst moments. And he said it will go away, but it might take some time. So that at least he comforted me that it's okay to have those feelings. And it took me a whole year. I went to see the Queen in the Netherlands, to the Dutch White Office, to see the Prime Minister, lots of TV programs. But always the first thought was, I didn't have a beer there, or I didn't have sunshine, or I didn't have my mother there, I didn't have a nice food. So, but then after a year, suddenly I had a different memory. And so those kind of things, he helped me, that it's okay to have pain, it's okay to have worries, it's okay not to have structure. Also with business decisions, there were lots of publishers who wrote letters to me that I should publish my book. And he said, do you want to write yourself? Do you want to hire a ghostwriter? So these kind of things he also helped me with. And luckily I did. I learned a lot also from him.
Yeah. Now, did you start a new life away from the humanitarian aid, or did you ever go back to that, or did you just start speaking and writing?
Yeah, I stepped away from it more because my parents and Doctors Without Borders, they didn't get along very well. And I choose, because the loyalty of my family towards me, it was much bigger than the loyalty of organization towards me. So I choose for them. And I thought I might start working with the Red Cross or the UN. But then, I started writing a book. I started to give presentations. Then within my message of freedom, but also the message of standing up for yourself, being in your own control, in the driver's seat. That got some report, and I'm still giving lots of lectures. And I really like to see the result. Of course, I'm not a guru, or I'm not for everyone a motivational speaker, but some people also have those crossroads in their life to cross. And then I can maybe be a little bit of a help or a catalyst for them, that it's more easy for them to make a decision, because they see that there's so much power within ourselves that we don't know yet. And maybe I help them a little bit to bring out their own potential. And I really liked it. And I started together with 3 other people, a new NGO. It's called Free a Girl, because I heard about the problematic situation of lots of kidnapped or trafficked girls working in the worst places and being assaulted and exploited. So since 2008, we released more than 5,000 children. And
Wow, that's
we
incredible.
also gave them a second chance. And that's also something I'm proud of course, but I also feel connected because I knew the pain without being molested. And I wanted to go home. I was thinking, why isn't anyone helping me? Sometimes I wanted to give up. And those girls, they are sometimes even 9 or 10 or 12 years old. And of course, they need another life and they need someone who stands up for them. And if it's not their own government, then someone else should help. And there's plenty of organizations also locally that want to help, and we've raise funds for them and help them with their programs. And so there's nothing better than to reunite a girl with their family again. Or we have also a very nice program, Free a Girl School for Justice. Some of the girls who are smart, who can go to university, we give them a law school education, and that can be the attorneys, or maybe even the judges, or the district attorneys for the future, and they can change the system from within. So luckily I could change the whole episode of my life into something better.
Right.
Yeah.
Now you speak, you said, as well, and hold webinars to teach people about personal responsibility. And as you're instructing people or teaching people through your story, what were some of the key takeaways for you in terms of, in a bad situation, how do you inspire people to take personal responsibility?
I think one of the messages is that if you feel pain, if you feel like a victim, it's okay, but don't stay a victim for the rest of your life. Don't let the past ruin your future, for example. Lots of people live in the past, they want to change the past, but you can't. You have to interweave it in your life anyway, because there's also a future in front of you. So that's one lesson, but also that whatever the situation is, you can always try to influence it. And of course, it doesn't work all the time, but most people have some kind of influence, and it starts with small steps. It starts most of the time with feeling empathy for other people as well. If you give empathy, you will get it back. If you are really curious about your surrounding, it can be just the nature, but if it's people are involved, be curious again. Show yourself. Vulnerability is okay. The beginning in my situation, I thought, you can be vulnerable because they will make use of it. But later, when they were about to kill me after an ultimatum video was finished, we got a conversation, for example, about, can you at least put my body next to the side of the road so that my parents will find my body, so that they won't be looking for me for the rest of their life. And of course, I had to cry when I talked about this to the guys, and they also felt sorry for me, but they also said, please don't tell these stories to us, because we might also start to cry. And then you can also gain freedom by being vulnerable. So the main message is the freedom. It's very important for you to develop yourself, and don't tell yourself, I'm not good enough, or I don't want to do this because other people don't want me to do this, because there's so many dreams already being broken before we even start them, right? Because we tell ourselves we're not good enough, we are we maybe listen too much to people around us. And then I think from the moment in your mind you should go into action. So what I help them with is to being the catalyst to act instead of just thinking.
Right. And even that, all of what you're saying kind of goes into the resilience factor. I mean, your story is just full of ways that you have resilience and to move on and to create something new from your past.
Yeah, true. Yeah, and of course, I also give them some normal, easy tips to stay structured in your life. Be grateful for things you already have. The visualization of things from the past, which can give you pride and honor, but also, of course, the visualization of things you want to reach. So those are the more easy steps, but also curiosity. Lots of people lose their curiosity when they're in a sad mood, and they start living in this tunnel instead of living in the full scale of life. So these are the easy takeaways that people can also reproduce. But of course, sometimes from being a victim to being victim of the situation are two different things. I always say be a victim of the situation, but don't be a victim. There's two different things. You're a survivor, but at the moment something went wrong, you're a victim of the situation. And that might also help them to create a different paradigm in their own mind.
Yeah, absolutely. And so now you've written several books since coming out from or being rescued, and the latest one, Held Hostage. Can you tell us a little bit about that and where people can get that?
Yeah, of course. Basically, it's a story about my kidnapping, but then the whole story from the beginning till the end. Of course, you asked me quite a couple of questions already, but how I boxed with the guys, how I stood up for myself, how I gave them some lessons about how to become better lovers, for example. So it's the whole, but also the pain, the misery, the tears, the lonely moments. And because loneliness is a bad feeling, but if you feel like left out, it's even worse. So it's the whole story about the book, and then the epilogue is about how it changed my life, how it made me grow, and how I want other people to, that my time was not being wasted, that I can be maybe that I might have suffered for other people as well, and that they can learn to go through their own suffering a bit further, or that they grow a bit faster because I might tell them something interesting. And of course, I don't believe in those big gurus who know everything, but at least I can teach people some lessons. Yeah. Of course, they have to find other coaches, or they have to find the power from within, but I can at least be the catalyst. And how I started Free Your Girl and what we want to reach and how they can help us. And the book, the easiest way is to find it on Amazon or on my website. And it's Held Hostage, Arjan Erkel, ARJAN ERKEL. Most probably you will put the link there. And
yes, I will.
My website is arjanerkel.nl.
Okay, .nl. Okay.
Yeah.
So people, please go check out his website. You can read more and also order the book.
And Free Your Girl, if they want to, if they think that we also want to fight trafficking, we want to fight sexual exploitation of minor girls, go to freeyourgirlusa.org.
Okay, thank you for sharing that as well. And people can get involved through that link as well?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay.
That would be great.
Really appreciate you coming on and sharing your story. Is there any last little tidbit or anything you want to share?
No, I think people be curious about your own powers, and instead of seeing change as something dangerous, try to be curious and make it something that makes you grow. So grow every day.
Yeah, a little bit each day to kind of shift your life, right?
Yeah.
Well, I really appreciate Arjan for joining us today, taking the time out of your Saturday to join us. Thank you very much for your time.
Yeah, Amy, you're welcome, and it was lovely to talk to you.
Absolutely, and thank you all for joining us today. Please go check out Arjan's website, also the Free Girl Foundation website. Try to get involved and just really take his lessons to heart about human resilience and personal responsibility. And we will see you all next weekend. Take care. Bye now.